So, the material we're going to see today is going to be this. Okay, ceiling design, although I guess you can use it in any other way. Okay, nobody's stopping you from that. And a better name for this will also be ceiling designer, because we're going to see how easily we can modify this and create unique patterns that look entirely different and will have an entirely different style from each other. Okay, so yeah, I think this one is very customizable and it can be really fun. So apart from that, we're going to say, let's just say that okay, this is tiled 3 times, and we're going to focus on just the main pattern. If you look carefully, you can see there is a line, but yeah, only if you know it, and of course if you look very carefully. So we're going to focus with this one. Now the graph for this, the nice thing about the graph for this is that it's actually really small. Okay, compared to what we have done other times, this is really small. So let's go in the beginning. We're going to have, basically we want a shape like this, which is just a circle. We're going to cut the circle, so we need 2 shapes, one smaller. We're blending with subtract, and we have the length of the circle. Now we're going to use 2 transformation 2D nodes, and the first one is with stretched with width 50%. Okay, the values are exactly, you need to just set it as 50%, just write 50 and hit apply width or height, and the same for the other one. Okay, so we need basically to squash them up by 50%. And with the blend node, with max lighten, we're going to get this design, and this is the main design we're going to use to create all these nice designs we have over here. And basically this design and a splatter circular. So I want to use, for the first design, which is the one that you see outside, I want to use, and I want to rotate this around, so I want to rotate this by 45 degrees. Okay, if you do not rotate it, it will give a whole different design, which is might be something you want otherwise on another ceiling design. So if you export parameters like this inside the game engine, you can change it and make a lot of stuff you want. So splatter circular, and here's where the meat of it everything is. Basically all designs are just either this design or this design, and just using a splatter circular. Okay, we have the important thing for this design, exactly for this design, is that I have center orientation on, and from now and there I can actually control the radius and the number. And if I change the radius by alone, it won't do much of a difference, and you can see that it just breaks the pattern apart. However, actually I'm going to set the resolution to something smaller because I'm also recording. Okay, just so that everything updates fast enough. Okay, so we can control the radius and controls the main design, and if we also change the number, you can see that it changes the whole design entirely. We can go even more with this. We can go even smaller with the radius, and you can see that it gets from entirely different designs. We can get even now smaller with the splatter circular. You can see that it also again changes entirely the design, and you can get so many styles with this, which I think it's pretty cool. Okay, again, this looks something like from the Viking era. This looks something like from the Tudors era. If you go with too many geometric shapes, you can make something that looks Middle Eastern. Okay, this is also cool. There's just so many designs you can pull with that I believe, yeah, most of the times I was just sitting there and try to find some cool designs and everything like that. You can get so many designs. As I said, you can play with this and it will make it entirely different. So I'm going to Ctrl Z until we get back to where we are. Okay, select what you want, find what you want. Of course you can reuse this in so many cases, which is just pretty cool to believe, I believe. And here's the main design, and oops, let's leave it at 1K for now, and when we are going to for micro detail we're going to change it. Okay, so we have the main design and now we want to bevel it so that it doesn't look like it's sticking on the ground. So for the bevel node we only need to pass the design and we need to pass the gradient linear. Of course we need to tick use custom curve, otherwise it will just it will try to solve it by its own. Of course it doesn't look that bad, but if you want to have more control over it, you can simply enable the custom curve. You need to pass a gradient map, so we start with gradient linear, and you can see that the values for my gradient map, I can change this, it will control the bevel and all that, so we have more control over this. So you can even change even more the designs. And I think we were there. Okay, so after that, the usual stuff, we're going to add a slope brew grayscale with a Perlin noise zoom, and you can see that the distance is almost 100, just because this design is very small. So we're going to start breaking things apart, but we're not going to apply it like this. We're going to blend it together with just multiply, and yeah, now it's a little bit of a lower resolution. So let's try 2K again, set 2K. Okay, it will start changing. There's a little bit of information. This doesn't show that much because we haven't yet popped everything, but as in the final video you can see all the changes in the map, because we have a very intense normal map. In the end they will show, or just it's going to make just slight difference. Okay, apart from that, we can add a histogram range on top of that, and basically with a histogram range, this is the only one, the only design which we are going to control the height with a histogram range. For the others we're going to control it a little bit differently. So this is the base design, which goes over the center. The second design will be somewhat the same like the first, again splatter circular, and this one is the one that goes on the edges. So we're changing the radius. Again, if we change this, we can make so many designs. You can see that it's really hard to even pick one at this point, which is also cool and frightening at the same time. Okay, you can see that I have the number around 40 because I like what it does over here. So again, slope brew grayscale, the same one as above. You can see that intensity is way too low, just to get some height differentiation. Bevel with basically the same properties as the one we have over here, the same gradient map. Okay, everything is the same. Then we'll multiply on top of that, so we start get some black edges, and we're going to use the transformation 2D in this case, and we're going to blow it up. If we change the radius, it will be the same like using transformation 2D. So if you want to handle it either with transformation 2D or splatter circular, it's entirely up to you. Okay, and I just I knew I wanted to cover the edges with this, so I just scale it up, and I didn't move. If you move it, you might break your tiling, of course, so just hit the X2 or it's either X2 or X1, I forgot. Yeah, X2. Okay, so we have our two designs, so we're going to blend them, and basically everything we blend after the base design we have over here, we're going to use Max Lighten. So with Max Lighten, depending on how much intensity we have over here, it's going to change how much these things are above the ground, or how low they are, and you can get some nice differences in the height. Also, you can get to make this more intense, and you can get so many other things. So from over here, we're ready with two designs, and now we're going to break things a little bit apart, so it does look a little bit more interesting. And now we're going to do the center design, not the one on the very center, the other stuff. So instead of getting the one we have as rotated, we're going to get the one that we haven't yet rotated. We're going to rotate it, but we're not going to rotate it. We're also going to change the scale, and we do this so that it works a little bit better with this. So we're going to get this rotated 45 degrees without losing any of the size, because the safe transform scale is going to try and conform it to be inside inside this tile safe rotation, I guess it's what does it. So yeah, you can use the safe transformation and it will be the same. Anyway, choose which one you want, doesn't matter. What matters is that after that we're blending them together and we can get another design. Of course, we can use this design as it is, or we can do something even better, which is use another node which is called polar to Cartesian grayscale. So what this does is, it might be a little bit hard to understand it over here, but if we add gradient linear 1 and if we add again polar to Cartesian, nothing will happen because we need to rotate this by 90 degrees. No? So it wasn't the gradient linear. So what this does is basically, if you take a shape, I forgot which one was that did this. Let's try and make it something smaller. It tries to, if you hold on a second, it basically rotates the design around. So if we take, let's try with a clouds node, it's the same thing. Oh no, yeah, it takes it so that you take, yeah, I know, I confused it with Cartesian to polar. Okay, Cartesian to polar, it takes a box design and rotates it around, and that's why where I wanted to pass the gradient linear. Okay, so you can have something that looks like this, and if you pass it around, okay, so one basically breaks the other, or resets the other in this case. And with this you can do a lot of stuff. So we have a circular design, and we're using polar to Cartesian. Okay, and we get instead of a circular design, we get a linear design. I guess you can call it that. And then I'm going to use a safe transformation grayscale to rotate it by 90 degrees because it works better with the splatter circular. If I didn't, because I have the orientation to look, to look towards the center, if I had the rotation at 0, you can see that we get something entirely different, which is also not bad in this case. It looks like a web at this point, so you can make a spider web or something, which it wouldn't be that hard. But yeah, let's see the other one ahead. 90 degrees, splatter circular, and we're back again. So again, with the splatter circular, if we change the radius, we're also getting so many designs, so many different designs that, as I said, it's impossible to even pick one or be happy with just one. Okay, so again, you can play with all of this. So the trick basically in this one was the polar to Cartesian node. Okay, that breaks the design to this one. And yeah, of course, they blend with the other heights that we have above, so you can adjust accordingly, and you can also expose all these parameters so they are more easily changeable. This looks like a saw. Let's go. Yeah, and this was the initial one I had. Okay, because this one is so small and I didn't want to use bevel again, I just used a blur with 0.48, and we get the the height differentiation between them. And again, we're going to add them with max light, and we're basically at this point. So I just added a little bit something to the center. So I just use the polygon node, polygon 1. I use slow blur grayscale on top of itself with blur, and then with a histogram scan, I get a more flat design on the center. Place it with transformation to D on the very center. Rotate it also around so that it doesn't look exactly the same like all the others, and we blend it again with max light, and you can say again we can control with the opacity how much of a height this one has. Okay, so the height is it's pretty much ready. So after that, we're going to just add a black color on the background, because otherwise your normal might break. The normal will be fine, the curvature smooth will be black afterwards. So for example, okay, that's what I mean. If you get this problem, then just add a black color on the background of your final one, and you're fixing that problem. And we output it to the height. We have the normal for the heavy. You can see the slow blur now it shows because the intensity is at 50. So we have our normal, and then we can make curvature and ambient occlusion. The ambient occlusion, I didn't want, this was way too much, I believe, for this design. I didn't like that it's black everywhere, so I crunched a bit all the values, get a little bit of dark edges, and then output it on the ambient occlusion. Okay, and of course we're going to create a dirt mask after that. Now we have our base height, our normal heavy. Now it's left to go on the microsurface. We're going to add with overlay fractals and base, because it works nice as a base, especially for something that looks like concrete. Okay, so that we do not have so smooth edges. just overlay by 1. You can also add the warp or anything else you might want to have over here. And then with subtract we're going to add black and white spots. Okay, just some spots. It starts breaking apart the concrete and stuff like that. And basically here's where we again use the Cartesian to polar. I started with a gradient map, a levels node, so that it fixes a little bit of stuff, and I use a Cartesian to polar to make this all, and this looks like a vinyl or a bud made vinyl. And again with the Cartesian to polar you can do so many stuff also, but yeah, it's about finding also something, or you know, finding the application for its node. You can see entirely different one. There is so many you can add. Yeah, let's add another grudge map, for example like this. Okay, this looks like a wood. If we also add a warp node, let's add Perlin noise to this. It's a little bit too much. We need something smaller. Let's add Perlin noise zoom. Okay, it starts to look like the edge of you know, inside of a tree trunk or something like that, just from using one grudge map we have over here and using Cartesian to polar. So okay, again with subtract I didn't go with just very subtle differences. Of course we can go even more and you're going to create something entirely different, although it won't change, it doesn't show that much. I don't like that it's entirely black towards the center, so I'm just going to set it back to 0.03. okay, and then it's just adding even more detail. So in this case I'll use cell 3. I'm going to invert the grayscale. I'm going to adjust the levels so we get white cracks. Then we're going to warp it around with Perlin noise 2. You can see that it's way too much, it's too intense, and that was what I wanted actually. And then I'm going to use slow brew grayscale, and we're going to get, you know, they look like cracks that you can also, they change the size. And we're going to get, this is Clouds 1 node, which we assign the slow brew grayscale, and we're going to set the levels, which we're going to use as a mask, and then with subtract on top of it we're going to add also cracks into our designs. Of course you can remove the mask and just use this entirely, and you can have more intense cracks on your design. And so basically this is the microsurface. We can go and work with the roughness directly. This level node is I just use this as a container, nothing else. If they have a null node it will have been helpful actually. So from this I'm going to use a high pass grayscale. This already has, you know, some intense some values we can use. So, but I want to invert the grayscale because if there's something somewhere that's shiny, it's probably going to be on the flat areas or the more prominent flat areas, and where it doesn't shine it will be on, you know, on cracks, on distraction and all of that. And then with the levels node adjust it so that it looks like something better. Although I guess, yeah, you know, it's a ceiling, it's also kind of an old ceiling, so don't expect everything to shine that much. So we output the roughness. Again, we have a normal intensity of just 1, and we combine both of them together, and then output it to a normal metallic, okay, just black color, and then we can start working with our base colors. And basically just creating a few colors, to break the eye apart. So we get from this level node, we run it through a gradient map. You can see the gradient over here. Okay, even if it's just one, it doesn't look entirely that bad. And we're going to add a little bit of more the dirt, basically. So we're going to use a fractals on base again. We're going to use a non-uniform blur with a clouds one. Okay, and we're going to get, break the design a little bit apart. Not that it matters, since it's the gradient map that's going to do the work. And we're going to apply it as dirt. You can see, okay, this gets the dirt mask. And then we're going to create another base color. And what I did though over here is I took the levels again from over here and I blended them with add sub with another grads map, and we get something that looks more horrific. And then we're going to add a gradient map again, and we're going to use a clouds 3. We're going to make a mask out of this. We're going to warp the mask around with pale noise 1. Okay, this is entirely open to change or do whatever you want with this. And yeah, we're adding it on top of this. We lower this one, you can see where it goes, where it doesn't, so it breaks even apart, the colors. And then the third color, I just use again, I took the first one, I created a mask, and just keep that in mind. And then we're going to use a warp node, so we get a grads map. We change a little bit the levels, and then I'm warping it around with this levels node. So we start getting a few stuff like this, which we can use, not entirely though. And then we're going to blur a little. We're going to use slow blur grayscale with a pale noise, so we break a little bit the patterns and all that. Okay, again, basically these are just playing with the nodes, not that I have something in mind, and just playing and see what we can make out of this. Okay, and you can see that I just took gradient map, created from the first fractals on base, and then I'm blending them together with this map, the slow blur we have over here, with this mask. And if we change the multiply, it's going to make something that's more dirty. Again, we can do the other stuff, or max lighten as linear. It's entirely up to you what you want to do with this. Let's leave it something like this, something more subtle. Okay, and then finally we output it to the base color. So that's about it. Okay, it's a pretty cool design, and you can make basically what you need to take from this is the circular node, the splatter circular. It's so much useful. Just have a design, a basic design, run it through a splatter circular node, create some designs. The other trick we've seen today is also the polar to Cartesian, so we can make designs like this and just play around with basically the splatter circular. It's where the meat of it is, and then add the macro surface colors and all that. Okay, so you know what to do. Like, subscribe. You can also download all the substances from my Patreon page. Okay, they are all free. You can go there and download them and watch them with the video. I probably should have mentioned that at the first of the video, at the beginning of the video. Okay, also feel free to pledge if you like what we're doing and want to see it continue. I've also added some materials in the substance share, so check them out, and check of course the links in the description for the ArtStation post and all that, and I'll see you next time.